Whether you're a cat lover or more of a dog person, an API guru or a button engineer, a JavaScript enthusiast or a no-camel fan, if you are genuinely curious about how beautiful full-stack web applications are built with attention to details, I'm glad to bring to you this video where we're gonna code and deploy Cat Wiki. Cat Wiki is a full-stack application where we have this hero section, like the top of the website with this interesting image and this search button. And here we have some cats that are listed, and we can click on the see more to search for a cat. For example, let's say American, yeah, and I have some suggestion, and if I click on this one, so we would get the cat with its details. So we have some additional images of the cat and also a lot of information with this interesting layout. So if I come back to the home page and I scroll, clicking on the search here is the same as also clicking here. So we get the same details page of the cat. And if I go down below here, we have also this very interesting layout of these cats. And this is actually not one image. These are 3 different images that are positioned using CSS grid. And we're also going to be learning about this. And also, I was about to forget, the application is actually fully responsive. Even better, we're going to be building the website using a mobile first approach. So this is the mobile view of the website. So we're going to build it like this. And if you go in on the detail page, as you can see, also it's responsive, as you can see, and then extend it for bigger screens. And I'm going to explain the benefits of using a mobile first approach. And also we handle quite well like an error that someone, for example, let's say someone upon wanting to share this link, he sends like this instead of this. So we have a 404 page that's also looking quite good with this error message. We are going to be building all of this with JavaScript, React.js, Node.js with the help of Express.js in the backend. And we're going to be using pure CSS. I'm sure that you're going to be learning something even if you are a Java developer or a frontend or just interested in the backend. And if you are new to this channel, my name is Yusuf Omar. I'm a software engineer based in France, and I'd like to be helpful as much as I can. For more than 3 years, I've been helping the community on Stack Overflow, and lately I've started this YouTube channel to create content like this one to share and grow together as software engineers. If this idea is something that's valuable to you, please help me reach it by liking the video that you are watching currently, by sharing it with your friends who are also maybe interested in these topics, and by subscribing to help me grow this very small channel. Thank you so much, and let's get going. So I have went ahead and created an empty folder on my desk. I've called it Cat Wiki. And actually guys, I am gonna link the final code in the YouTube description, so you don't have to code along. I think that it's not very straightforward to code along. I would suggest you watch until the end, and if you want code it yourself, do it without watching the video. And if you ever struggle, you can look up the final code here and find your answers later. So after that has been said, I've also gone ahead and opened the empty folder that I showed you with Visual Studio Code, and I also have Chrome on the right here. And so the first thing that we are going to be doing is to set up our backend, which is going to be built using Node.js and Express.js. So I already have Node.js on my system, and I'm using the version 22. And if you ever want to code along later, use the same, as it may spare you some struggles. So Node.js, you can just find it here at nodejs.org, and you go to download, and you just use the system that you are on, whether it's Linux or Windows, and you just follow the instructions here. So I'm gonna use npm init like this to init a Node.js project. So we would have this package.json that doesn't contain anything for now, except I maybe gonna change this to server.js. And let me create our server.js file, and then I'm gonna install Express. Express, it's actually a very small package that's built on top of Node.js, which allow us to create servers quite simply without creating a lot of abstractions as well. So we would have Express, as you can see, and this is going to be the first and only dependencies that we are going to be using throughout this project on the backend side. So here in our server.js, we're going to instantiate a server. So we are going to import our Express from Express like this, then say a const app is going to be equal Express like this, and we're gonna go and say app dot listen, and we are going to listen on port let's say 5000, and when it is start, we are gonna say on the console server running on http localhost 50,000, and we are actually gonna change this one. It shouldn't be like hard coded here, because it's gonna cause problems when we would deploy our website. But for now we can keep it like this, and our we're gonna have one route here for now, and it's gonna be something that's gonna catch everything just for now, and it's going to get the request in the response, and we are going to say response.send hello world like this. So let's come back to our package.json. Here we're gonna add some scripts. So the first one is gonna be the start script. This is going to be node, and we're gonna use the server.js file. We are not gonna be using this one. This is more for the deployment part at the end. We will be using the watch mode. So we're gonna have a dev script. So this dev script is going to be node, and we would use -- watch, and we also are going to actually let's keep it like right now, or like this for now. So we're gonna use server.js like this. So now if I say npm dev run dev, so it has spinned up here on localhost. So if I open, so we have our hello world. So this is working. Let's keep it right now for now, and let's actually set up our front end, which is gonna be our React project. So for that, I'm gonna create a folder here, and I'm gonna call it client. So like this. So it's empty as of now, and I'm gonna go into this folder, and I'm gonna create a React project using create React app. So it's gonna be npx create React app like this. So this is going to create the React project for us. Let me actually just tell you about create React app a little bit. So create React app is something that's built on top of Webpack, which is a module bundler for the front-end world, and it is one of the easiest way to create a React project. And lately we have other alternatives like Vite, but for this video we could use it and it works fine. So as you can see, it has created some boilerplate for us here. So I'm gonna go into the client folder right now. So I think I'm already in it. Yeah, I'm already in it. So the client folder is going to contain a Git, because Create React App will set up a Git for us, but we want our Git to be here at the root, not inside the client, because we're gonna only be having one folder and we're gonna using it for deployment and for the CI in all. So I'm gonna delete the Git that has been instantiated. So raf Git, and I'm gonna grab this Git ignore and I'm gonna add it right outside here, yeah, in the root. So that's it for the client. So for the client, we're gonna have npm start like so. So it has started on localhost 30, and our backend is running on localhost 50. It was sorry, did I stop it? Yeah, I stopped the backend. That's why. So yeah, the backend is running on hello world, and I'm gonna show you later how we are actually gonna be connecting this backend in this front end using a proxy, which will allow us to deploy only one application later on. And this one application is going to be our backend and is going to be serving our client as static files. So actually let me get rid of this warning that we have below by adding a this type module here and start back our project. So as you can see, we don't have this warning anymore. So I didn't explain this watch. This watch, actually what it does is it's gonna actually restart the our application every time this file or a file that's imported by this file changes. We used to use things like nodemon, which is a package that allow us to have the same feature, but since Node.js 21, I guess, it's integrated into Node.js itself, which is quite handy. So in our backend, we are going to have two folders. We're going to have a folder for our controllers, basically where we're going to have the functions that are going to respond to our client. And also we are going to have a folder where we are going to lay out all our routes, like we would know instantaneously by looking into this routes folder what type of routes we have. So these are the two folders that we're going to have. So in our controllers, in this application, we're going to be having only one controller. So the controller file that's going to be handling everything related to the cats data. So we're going to call it cats controller like this. And we are going to have two functions in this cat folder. So let me actually paste it here, and I'm going to explain what they do. So we have a function that's called get all breeds, so the breeds of cats, and another which is going to give us the data on a unique cat. So actually this data is going to be coming from this get all breeds, and if we click on a cat, so we are going to be having the data on one cat. So this is going to be returned to us by this function. All we are doing in this function is that we are calling the cat API. So the data on the cats are going to be coming from a free API called the Cat API. So if you don't know about it, let me just like open it here. So it's this website. It gives us a free API that contains a lot of data on cats. So you just have to click on this get your API key, because the API needs a key in order to work. So we're going to be using the free access, and you have to add your email in a description, something like an application for learning purpose or something, and it's going to be a personal project. And then you hit submit, and you're going to receive your API key in your mail. So in this API key should be passed as a XAPI key into the header. So and this API key is going to be coming from a .env file that I'm going to be creating here. So it's going to be like this, and we are going to have an API key like this, and I'm simply going to paste the API that I have received in my mail. So it's going to be some junk like this, and we save this one, and we need to tell Node.js to use this this .env file. So how we do that? We are going to come into our package here and say that you should use the env file that's called .env, like this. Also, to be able to read env files, we used to use third-party packages, but in the latest Node.js version, it is available like in the platform itself, so which is also quite handy. So we will be using this, and just to so yeah, just to make sure that you add the correct API key that you get in your email. So while we are at it, you remember I was saying that we shouldn't be hard coding the port here like this, because the platform that we're gonna be hosting our project on maybe already is using the 5000 port for another project. So we should let the platform to give us a port like dynamically, and they are going to use the environment variables. So we should also be using one, so that we don't have to change our code when we are going to production. So I'm gonna go here, come here and set a port, and I'm gonna like use the same one. And so here we're gonna use process.env.port like this. So what we did here is actually gonna read this file, parse it, and let us have all the variables that we have here, like on the env object of the process. So like this. So if I, yeah, it's running again, but just to make sure that, so even here I'm gonna actually change it, sorry, so it's gonna be plus. So to not repeat myself, actually I'm gonna use a port variable like this, add it here and here. So yeah, it's running. As I was saying earlier, so these two functions, they are gonna be called by the client. The first one is actually gonna return us all the cat breeds that are out there, and it's using the fetch method. I don't know if you already know, but we couldn't use the fetch method like this. We used to import a package like node package, but in the latest version of Node.js, we also had this function implemented in the platform, so which is also quite handy. So we are used to using the fetch. This works like on the browser. So we give it a URL, we give it also some method and headers, and then if the response is okay, we are simply like grabbing the data by parsing the JSON, and then we're filtering this data, because when I was working on this project, it was 2 years ago, I actually updated it to the latest version of Node.js and also to React, so I could teach it here. The data that we are getting here, sometimes the breed doesn't have an image, so I didn't want that because it wasn't like fitting my final design, which is this thing where everyone has an image in all. So we're just filtering them, and if the response is not okay, we're just like throwing an error that we are catching here to send a response back, an error response. And then we have the get image by ID function. This one actually this one returns us these images. We give it a cat ID that's gonna be coming from the URL params. I'm gonna show it in a bit when we code the front end, and it's just gonna call this endpoint that returns us all the images that are related to this cat ID, and we are just limiting it to 4, also to fit just our design, because we only need 4 images like here. So and also we are passing the API key like before. Then we are parsing the JSON, and we are populating it in an image array, where like in each index we are just adding the URL. And then if actually the ID of the cat is bad, the API returns an empty array. So it's gonna return an empty data array. So our images array is also gonna be empty. If it is the case, we're gonna throw a not found error. If not, we return the array that contains all the URLs. And if there was an error, we are catching it, and then we are responding with the correct response. If it is a not found, we say that you have like searched for a cat that doesn't exist. So yeah, that's it about our controllers. And these controllers, as of now, they are not being called anywhere. So that's what we are gonna do next. We are actually going to create, like we already have created a route folder. So in this route folder, we are gonna create one route. It's gonna be called cats route, like .js, and this one is gonna actually be quite small file, because all we are gonna be doing is to map, like, let me just actually import and paste it here. So we are grabbing our 2 functions from the controller file. Also we're importing Express, and we're creating a router, like with the help of Express. So when there is a get to the slash method, we're gonna call the get all breeds, and when there is a get with an ID at the end, this is a dynamic ID, so we're gonna be calling the get image by ID functions, and this method are gonna pass to our functions. So the request, so let me just open it here. So it's gonna pass the request in the response, and also here as well, and this will help us grab the ID that's here. So that's our router, but we need to register our router in our server in order for this to work. So let us go back to our server here, and actually we can remove this for now. So we're gonna say app.use. Whenever there is an API call to API/cats, like this, use the router that we just created. So yeah, it's importing it. So now every time there is an API to cats, it's gonna forward it to the router. So we have an error here. Yeah, okay, it should be cat routes.js. Actually, when you are working with like ECMAScript modules in Node.js, we should like add the .js at the end when we are importing things. We have another error, so it's in the cat routes. So it should be a cat's controller, like this. So yeah, now it's working. So now if I go to our backend and let's say make it a little bit bigger and go to API and cats, like this, as you can see, we are getting this array that contains all these cats. So if we grab one cat ID like this and go to the cats and then with the ID like this, as you can see, we are getting an array that contains 4 images. So if we take, for example, one image like this and go to, so as you can see, we are getting an image. So that's it actually for our backend. We are simply going to be having this one route, but when we are about to go to production, there are some things that we are going to be changing here. But for now, we are good and we can work on our front end. So the client folder contains all the things that the Create React app has created for us, and I've simply imported this asset folder from the final project, and it contains some static images that won't be coming from the API, and also a logo. So we actually don't need a lot of the other things that are here. Like, I'm gonna go ahead and delete this like so, and also let me actually come here into the app.js and remove all of this. I'm gonna just have one hello world for now. Yeah, there are something that needs to be this. Yeah, as you can see, now we have our hello world, and also we are going to delete everything that's here and also here. And actually we are going to be using SCSS instead of CSS. So I'm just simply going to change these to SCSS, and also this one like this. And so for SCSS to work, we need to install the Sass package. So we're gonna go into the client and install Sass using /as. So it installs it as a dev dependency. So this has been done. So here, let me just change it, and here as well. Yeah, like this. So it's working again. Another thing, I'm also gonna be clean up a little bit our dependencies here, as there are things that we won't be using, and I like to have as less thing as possible whenever I can. So this is also not needed, and this actually is gonna be our in our dev dependencies here. Let me actually add it at the top here below the dependencies like this. So also these, we don't need them. Like so. So actually that's it. We also gonna need one dependency, which is gonna be React router DOM, to help us with our front-end routing. And that's actually gonna be the one in last dependency that the project is gonna be really using, that hasn't been added by Create React app for us. So with that, we are good to go. I'm going to create a components folder like this, and in it I'm gonna create the app component. It should be a folder like this. So it's gonna be app, and I'm gonna paste this. Is just something that I like to do, to have everything in a component instead of being in the SRC like this. So that's for our app.js. So the app.js is actually gonna be setting up our router. So it is going to return, let me just use the app with like this, and it's actually gonna return our browser router. So we're gonna import the browser sorry, it should return. I don't know why it is not a return. It should come from I don't know why it's not auto importing it, but it should come from React router like this. So and in this actually we are gonna be having a header component like this. Let's call it for now just header, and below the header we're gonna have a main component that's gonna be containing all the different routes that we will be having. Let's say we're gonna create them. So it's importing from React Router, as you can see here. So we're gonna have one route like this, which is going to be for the home page. So and it is going to render, for now let's say it's just going to render a hello from home. So as you can see, now we are on the home page. Then we are going to have a route that's going to be called breed, as one breed, and it's also going to be using an ID here, and this one is going to be our detail page details. So so this is the home, as you can see on the final project, and this is going to be our details. So let me come back here, and if we have let me copy paste this. If we have anything else, we would be returning a 404 page, as we won't be handling. And if you remember, we didn't handle any 404 on the backend, because I'm gonna show it later, but our backend, except for this route, it is gonna hand over to the frontend for anything else. You're gonna see it when we are about to go to production. But for now, let me come back to the client. And so yeah, these are our 3 routes. Let's try the breed. So if I go here, so as you can see, did I do something wrong? I feel like I did something wrong. Yeah, it should be like this. So yeah, this is from the detail page, and if we have anything else, so it's going to be our 404, and we want our header to be always here. Why? Because if I show you like the final project here, let's say I do something like this. So we have our header and also our footer, and just the main is going to change. So let me actually come back here, and we're gonna also have one footer here. Let's say a footer, and also we want to make sure that the header is always at the top, the main take all the available width, in the footer always at the bottom. And how we are gonna be doing this? So we are actually gonna come here to our index.css, and we are going to add some default styles. So let me actually just copy paste and explain. So we are importing a font, 2 fonts actually, from Google Fonts, like Mr. Request and Poppins, and we are also setting 2 colors, this one and this one. So this is the color that we have on the final design. And then we are we have some reset. We're removing all the margin, padding. We're making sure that everything inherit the font of our of its parent element. The color also, text decoration none, which is on link tags, and box sizing to a border box. And then we are saying that our HTML will have this color. The logo is going to be having the mystery quest font that we have imported. And also we are saying that all our images are going to have a display of block, object fit of cover, and some width and height, because if you remember, if you add an image on a page, like by default it's gonna try to respect its default size, and it's actually going to break everything. So let's ensure that it's working fine. And also our images are going to be added within a div that's going to have this image tag, and this div is going to have some height and also some border radius. As you can see on the final image, as you can see, all these images have rounded borders. So this is going to be the div that's going to handle this for us, this div with this class. And also we are adding some styles on our h1, so we're saying that they should be a little bit bigger with some font weight. And also we have some HR. HR is just actually a if I show it you here on MDN, so it's just a line actually that's gonna be added in HTML, and we are styling it to fit our needs. So we are saying that we're removing its outline, we're setting some border and some border radius, some width, and also some margin. So this HR actually is the thing that's gonna be on each of our titles on the project. So this, and then we have a see more link. Our see more link actually is this link, and also it's this link. We could actually have added it in its own component, but let's say it works fine. So we are saying that text should be uppercase, display of flags, because it's going to be containing some text in this icon. So some font weight, we are saying that it should be of max content its width. The icon, we are setting some height, some min left, some margin left. And when there is an over on the see more link, we are simply transforming the icon, like we are translating it to the right. So that's what the see more link is doing. And then we have some media query. When we go over 700 pixel, we want the font to be slightly bigger. So that's it for our like global CSS. Everything else is gonna be added within the component style itself. So let me come back to the app.js and grab this actually. So here like this, and actually there's one thing that we could do also here. So let me actually add the font here. I used to add it on no, not here. I used to add it on the app here, but it could go on HTML, it's better. So our font has changed. So our app is going to have a display of grid. I'm trying to make sure that the header always at the top, the main text, all the available height, and the footer always at the bottom. And that I will be doing it on the app, because our app is the one that contains these elements, as you can see. Yeah. So I'm gonna say that it's gonna have a grid template rows of auto for the header, one for the main, and auto for the footer, like this. And we're gonna say that it's gonna have a mean height of 100 view weight, like this. So as you can see now, the header at the top, the main taking all the available height, and the footer at the bottom. And yeah, it's working. If I inspect, you're gonna see it as well. So as you can see, we have one row, a big row, and one other small row. So let me close it. And also I'm going to add some max width on the body, on the app. Let's say it's gonna be 1300, let's say. I'm going to be adding some margin, so it's going to be 0 in auto, because if you look at the final design, actually, as you can see, the app actually is not taking all the available width when the screen is quite big. So that's what we are doing with the help of this. And also I'm gonna add some padding to make sure that it doesn't touch actually the screen, the end of the screen, like so. So yeah, so let me come back here, and this header actually is gonna be added to its own component. So let me come here and create a folder, in the app, in the component here, and I'm gonna call it a header, like this. And we're gonna have, it should be here, yeah. So we're gonna have header.js and also header.css, like this. And this is gonna be a React functional component, like this. And yeah, it's gonna, for now, it's gonna import, and it's gonna import its style. So import, like this, and we are gonna add it here in the app here. So it should be the header component, like this. And let me actually style it and add the content that we have in it. So the header should be a header to respect semantic HTML a little bit, and in it we're gonna have a link, so a React router link that's gonna go to the home page, let's say 2, like this. Because for example, if I go to the detail page and click here, I'm getting back to the home page without reloading the page. As you can see, it's instantaneous. That's because we are using the router link and not an HTML like normal link. So that's what it will be doing. And let's add the class of it's gonna be our logo, and in it we are gonna have an image like this. That's gonna be let me add the alt for now, and this image is gonna actually be coming from our assets here. So it's gonna be our logo here. So let me import it. Yeah, to the assets, and I'm gonna import the logo.svg. Sorry about this. And it should be here. So as you can see, it's quite big, but we are going to style it. So let me come back to the header style here and grab the header. Yeah, let me add actually class here. So that's what I often like to do, is that for every component that I create, I add a class name that has the same name as the component, and I try to nest everything related to this component here. So this way I would have everything that's related to this component starting with this, something like div, and this way I avoid like CSS usage. I know it's not a perfect way, because if two components have the same name, it's gonna cause problems, but it is a solution that's work quite well. And for a small project like this one, I don't want to use packages like CSS modules or component styled components that adds a lot of like boilerplate code to the project. So that worked for us for now. So I'm gonna add some margin button of 1 rem, and I'm gonna change the image width to something like 9 rem, the image height to 3 rem, yeah, and add some overflow of hidden if there's any, but we could actually remove it, it's okay. So it's looking good, and it's looking like on the final design, as you can see. Yeah, so as you can see, if I was ever to the breed page, like the detail page, and click, I come back instantaneously. So that's it for our header. Let's implement our footer, which is this thing. So I'm also gonna create a footer component here. So let me call it footer. Sorry, should be footer, and create a footer.js, and also a footer.css, like this. It's going to be a React functional component, and it's going to return a real footer, because we do semantic HTML, guys, come on. And we're gonna import our footer.css like this, and let me use it here. Yeah, it's importing it, as you can see. So this is our footer, and our footer is let me add the class, as I said earlier, of footer on it. Our footer is going to actually contain the logo, so it's gonna be image, and the src is going to be our white logo. Like, we have two logos actually. So, and let me import it from the assets folder. So for now you're not seeing it, because yeah, it's here, it's a white logo, and this one is like brown, because it's sitting on a background that's like dark. So and it also gonna be containing another div for the copyright. So let's say let me actually copy paste the copyright here. So you can change it with your link later on if you want. And this project is actually initially a dev challenge.io project, so let me add it here to give some credit. Dev challenge.io, if you don't know, it's a platform that help you have real life projects to work on with their design and all. I think I misspelled the link. Yeah, it's this one. I don't know, there's something wrong with it, but you can check it out later. So let's come back, let's style it for now, and I'm gonna come back here, grab the footer like this. I'm gonna add a background color of black, so as you can see our logo is visible. We're gonna have a border radius of 42 pixel at the top, 42 pixel at the top right. This is top left, top right, and then we're gonna have a 0 0 at the bottom, and we are gonna have a display of flex, a justify content of a space between, like this, and align items of center, a padding of something like 3 rem. We are also gonna be changing the font size to something like 0.8 rem. As you can see, we actually have added a padding on the app component. So this is like there's this padding, but we don't want that. If you look at the final design, there's no gap here, so we should get rid of this. How? Well, we can simply add a margin bottom of say -1 rem, like this. So it's as you can see, there's no gap anymore, but the text is not visible, as you can see. As you can see, because we have said that all the elements on our page, they are gonna have this brown color. So for that, we should change for the footer. It should be white, like this. So as you can see, we have it here, like on the final design, which is looking quite good. So we have our header, we have our footer. Let us implement the home page, which is this. So as I was saying earlier, our home page actually is made of 2 components. It's gonna be made of this component that I have called hero, and also this that I have called blog. So let us actually implement the hero first. So here I'm going to create another folder, and I'm going to call it hero. Like this. And let me do the same here. Actually, let us just implement the hero for now. So let me come here in our app.js and say that here, instead of returning this text, it should return our hero component. So it has imported, as you can see. So let me save it. So we have hero here, and so let me come back to the hero. In the hero, we are, as you can see on the final result, we have this search box that appears when we click the button. So this is something that's gonna be showed conditionally. So let's say we're gonna have a show search box, and if it's true, we are gonna open the search box. For now, I'm just gonna return a div saying search box, and if it's not the case, we're simply gonna return null, and this is gonna be a state. So we're gonna have like this. So let me add also the class name on it. It should be hero, this. And after the search box, we are gonna have the top elements. So the top element of the hero is this thing. So let me come back here, like this. So we have the logo. It's going to be an image with alt, and the src is going to be our logo. So let me import it. It should be our white logo actually. That is VG. Let me call it white logo as well. Yeah, like so. So it should contain the logo at the top, and after the logo we're gonna have a p tag that's gonna say get to know more about your cat breed, like this. So the logo is actually added, but it's white, but we're gonna change the background as on the final design later, and this is the p tag that I have just added. And then we are gonna have the button that will open the search box. So it's gonna be a button. When we click on it, it is going to call the set show box, and it's gonna add through. So it's gonna open it, and this box is actually gonna contain an icon. So let me actually grab it. So it's gonna have a span that contain search in the arrow, like the loop. As you can see here, we have a text in this loop, which is in this VG. So that's what we have here. So let me save it, and yeah, that's it actually for the HTML of our tab section. Let me style it. So let me come back here to the styles here, and say our hero is gonna have a border radius of 3 rem, like so, and our tab is going to have a background image, which is going to be like this. We're going to go to the asset, and we are going to grab the hero BG. Yeah, this one. So and right now it's looking quite ugly. The hero BG actually is this image of this cat, which is looking quite good, but here it's very weird, but we're gonna fix it. So we're gonna say that the background size is gonna be cover, like this, and the background position is going to be center, like so. So it's looking good, and we're gonna say that the color of our tab, the text of the tab section, is gonna be white because it's sitting on a dark background. We're gonna add some padding, like so, and we're gonna grab the logo, and we're gonna say that it's gonna have a margin bottom of 1 rem, a max width of 200 pixel, like so. Also, our p tag is going to have a max width of something like 12 rem. So let me style also the button. So the button is going to have a background color of white, it's also gonna have a display of flex. Let's say align item of center. We're gonna have some gap between the text in the SVG. So as you can see, the SVG has actually disappeared because when we add display flex, it's the elements that are within the parent are gonna try to be as small as possible, and things within SVG you can go to 0, so it's disappearing. So let me like bring it back by saying that the SVG is gonna have a width of 1 rem and a height of 1 rem as well, like so. So now it's visible, but the button is still looking ugly. Let me continue with it. We're gonna say that the color of the button is gonna be using the primary, so the brown CSS variable that we have added in the index earlier. So we're gonna remove all the borders. We are also gonna add some width, so it's gonna be a max content, some padding, we're gonna have some border radius. We are also gonna add some margin, so let's say it's gonna be 1 rem 0. Change the font size. Also we need to change the cursor to pointer, because on a button by default, like if you hover over, by default it's like you are hovering on a text, but we want to make sure that the user know that it can click on it. I don't know why the browsers by default like made it like this, but yeah, we should add the cursor pointer. And we're also gonna have some transition, so it's gonna be for 3 seconds, because we are gonna change the background on hover, like on the final design here, as you can see. So whenever there is a hover on the button, we are going to change the background color to primary, like this, and change the color to white. Also we're gonna play with the SVG fill, so we're gonna say that the SVG is gonna have a fill of white. So you might be wondering why I added the SVG here instead of importing it as an image like we did for the logo, for example, because I want to change the color of the fill, so this color, and this you cannot do if you are importing it as an image. So that's why. So if I, as you can see, it's changing like on the final design. It's looking good actually. I like the subtle animation. So it seems like our border radius haven't applied. Yeah, I know, because actually we have a border radius on the hero here, but the image is creating an overflow. So let me hide like this. So yeah, so now it's looking good, like on the final design, with some height difference, but we're going to change that later on. So yeah, this is looking good. And speaking of the height difference, actually we can already fix that. So let me add a media query here. So it's going to be a media all, and when we are on a min width of like this, we are gonna say that our tab is going to have a min height of let's say 500 pixel, like this, and it's going to have a display of flex, a flex direction of column, and a justify content of center. like this. And we're also going to change the max width of the p tag, so it's going to be slightly bigger, like so. So now, as you can see, if we look at the final design, as you can see, it's the same. Yeah. Actually, when we made the height bigger, we need to have the content like to be centered, so that's why. So yeah, this is looking good now. And now let us implement this section, like of the hero. So we're gonna come back to the hero section here, and this section is gonna be on the bottom tab. So it's gonna be bottom like this, and in the bottom we're gonna have the HR that we have talked about earlier, so this thing. And then we are gonna have a h1 like so, and the h1 is gonna tell us the number of cat breeds that we were able to get from the API. For now I'm gonna hard code it, but let's say it's gonna be like 2000, okay? And then we are gonna say breeds for you, and then we're gonna have some break to discover, like this. So if I show you the final design, so it's this thing. Later we're gonna make this dynamic, the number. So this is the h1, and after the h1 we are gonna have a summary block. So the block where we have like some of these cat that we have by default. Come back here. So in the summary block we are actually gonna iterate over an array that's we're gonna call summary breeds. We're gonna map over it, like so. And so we are going to be returning for each of them a link, and this link is going to breed. The array doesn't exist, I'm gonna create it later. It's gonna be a React state, and then we are gonna use the breed.id like this. And then we are also gonna have a class name here. Let's say we are gonna call it a breed. We're gonna have a key, and it's gonna be the breed dot name. And then here we're gonna have a div, so an image div. This is the image div that we have added in the index.css to have the rounded images every time. So we're gonna have our image, so it's going to use the images coming from the API. So it's going to be a breed dot image dot URL, like so. And at the bottom of the image we're gonna add the title, so the name of the cat. So it's gonna be breed dot name, like this. So as of now, and then after the summary we have, let me show you here, we have the see more link. So let us add that as well. So it's gonna be a link that's gonna have the see more class, like so, and it's going to contain a span that says see more, and another span. That's going to be an icon. So let's say it's gonna be an image like this, and it's going to use our arrow, and this we're gonna import it from the asset folder. So let me go. Yeah, like this. And so for now, let me actually keep it like this, and let me create this actually summary breeds, as was saying, it should be an array, and actually it is. So it is going to be coming from the app.js file. So this is gonna be populated with the API, and on our link here, so when we click, we're gonna be doing the following. So we're gonna prevent the default, and we're gonna say set show search box is gonna be true. So as you can see here, when we click on the see more, we're opening the search box. So that's what's happening. Let me come back. So we are getting a cannot read because we didn't pass this in the app, but it's okay for now. So let's say our href is going to be this, but it doesn't matter actually because we are preventing it. So let me come back to the app.js, and we are gonna pass the summary breaks here to our hero like this, and this is going to be a React state. Like so. So now we don't have the error anymore, but we also don't have nothing, which is normal because we didn't populate this object. So let me actually populate it. I'm gonna come back to the app.js here. So we're gonna use this effect and call our API like this. We are going to have, let me actually paste it because it's a straightforward function. So I'm going to explain what's happening, bear with me. So we're also going to be passing an all breeds array. So we'll also be handling errors, API errors, with this help of this API error method. Sorry, I did something wrong here. It should be here like this. So so what's happening here? We are actually creating this fetcher function in the use effect and calling it. And what this does is gonna call our API, the cats API here. So API cats this, and when the response is okay, it's setting the all breeds, and then we are sorting the data, as you can see, and then we are we are using this random sort. So we're sorting randomly, and then we're grabbing 4 of them for the set summary breeds. So as you might already have noticed, this summary, the four that are here, they actually change every time you refresh the page. So for now there is a call time. Our server is spinning up, but we are gonna see it in a bit, but it changed every time. So that's the logic behind here. So we're setting all the breeds, and then we are doing some random sort, and then we are grabbing the for. And if the response is not okay, we are setting the API error message, and this message is coming from our backend. I have already showed you when there was an error. So in the controller, for example, if there is an error, we are sending this message every time. So this is what we are grabbing here. And if it's not okay, it means that there is some network error. We weren't able to reach our API. So in that case, we are just simply creating this generic error message. And we are passing to our hero section all the breeds and also the summary breeds. And as you can see right now, it's not working. Why it's not working? Because we actually, if we wanted to call our backend, we should use the full URL like this. So we should be using something like this. Let me come back here. Something is still not working. I don't know why. Yeah, that's what I actually wanted to show you. So we are getting this cross-platform origin, like this coarse error, because our frontend is on localhost like 3000 and our backend is on localhost 50,000. These are two different like websites kinda, and we cannot just call it like this. We should change our backend to allow courses. But since our project is not gonna be deployed as two separate applications, we actually could avoid this with the help of using a proxy. So how does it work? We're gonna just actually remove this back, and we're gonna keep it like this, and go to create React app proxy like this. So we are able actually to use a proxy here. So for this to work, we're gonna install this HTTP proxy as a dev dependency in our client like this, and then we are going to create a file called setupproxy.js here in the src, as they say it here, like so. And we are going to paste the content here like the doc shows it here. So we're gonna paste. So so what are we saying here? So we are saying that every time our front end make a call to this endpoint, I want you to change it to this URL. So this is gonna be our backend URL, and then you add this one. So this is going to be working for our development, and when we deploy the website, we actually don't need this file. This file is not going to be working when we deploy the project because it's just for development. When we deploy our project, we're going to be having only one application that's deployed, our backend, and it's going to be serving our frontend as static files. So the problem is not going to be there anymore. And as you can see, it's still not working. So if we actually check the network tab, as you can see, we are having an error. Why? Because we actually didn't set up this React proxy URL env file. So let me just come back here into our frontend folder and create an env file which will contain this React app proxy URL, and this is going to be our backend URL. So let me just copy paste it here like this, paste, come back here. I'm gonna restart the client, and now Now as you can see, everything is working fine. We have our cats. It's working great, but it's slightly different from the final project, in that we are going to be handling with the help of CSS. So let me come back to the component, to the hero, to the style of the hero, and we are actually gonna style the bottom. So that was the top, and our bottom, like this, is going to have a background color of gray. So it should be this. And then we're gonna also have some padding, like one rem. We're gonna have 2 rem at the bottom and 1 rem, like this. And the summary component is going to have a display of grid, and it's going to have some let's say gap, 1 rem. Actually, let me disable the autosave, because I don't want to make as much API calls as possible. So let me, it should have a gap, and we're gonna also use a display grid of columns, and we're gonna use a repeat, autofill, min max, and we're gonna say pixel in 1fr, like so. So with this, we have a grid that's responsive by itself. As you can see, when there is not enough room, it's gonna like go to the next, and when there is, it's going to like add them side by side. So this is going to work. And then we are gonna say that our .breed link is gonna have a display of block, even though actually we can, it doesn't matter anymore because it's a grid element. So the name is going to have a font weight of like this. So as you can see, it has changed. We're gonna add some margin top of, let's say 0.5 rem, and also we are gonna have a we're gonna change the font size like to something like, I don't know, I feel like we are not able to reach it, because let me check. Yeah, there was a typo here. Yeah, as you can see, it has changed now. And let me come back here. That was the breed. So we are also gonna change the see more link. As you can see, it should be like at the right, and also there should be some padding, some gap. So let me grab the see more, and we're gonna add some margin left of auto, and we're gonna have some margin top of, let's say 2 rem. I feel like it's not working. Maybe I have a typo. So let me come back here. See more. Yeah, it should be outside of the summary actually. Yeah, here. So as you can see, now it's working. So that is for our see more. And so as you can see, our hero section is looking quite good. So let us implement the search box now, like on the final design. This search, which appears here when we click here, but also on the see more link, and which is like this on desktop and like this on mobile view. So let's implement that. And this actually, this search box, I'm gonna implement it in its own component. Let's say it's gonna let's call it a search, like this, and we're gonna create a search.js, and also it's gonna be a React functional component, and we're going to import its style, like so. And let me come back to our hero component, and here instead of this div it should be our search. So for the styling part, let's say that it's gonna be true by default, so it's gonna be shown here all the time, and then we're gonna change it back. So let me actually come here, and actually this search box, it's gonna be a very straightforward one, so I'm gonna paste the code and explain what's happening here. So let me import that, and we are going to receive the like this. Let me also import the user state, and then I'm also gonna paste the CSS and explain what's happening. So let me explain what's happening. So our search box is gonna receive the search box function, and also it's gonna receive all the breeds that we have fetched on the app component. So let me actually come back here on the app, and we are going to pass these two to the search box here. No, it was a hero actually. Where is the hero? Yeah, here. So we are gonna pass the all breeds like this, and also this, and this all breeds is gonna be coming from our app component. So in the app here to the hero, we're gonna give also we have already actually give it, so it's okay. So this is our search is gonna receive all the breeds in the show box, the set show box set state. So this one we are going to actually call it whenever we click on this button. So on this, as you can see, this button, when we click on it, we close it. So then we have an input here. This is what you are seeing here, and this input is going to have a handle input function, and this handle input here, what it does is that it's going to grab the value of the input and trim it, so it's going to remove all the white space before and after the string. And then if there is something in the text field, it's gonna create this, it's gonna populate actually these matched breeds, and this is simply gonna be a filter on our breeds that's coming from the top. So we are just gonna look for all the breeds that contain the name, and if it isn't the case, like, it means that the user has deleted what it has typed. So we are gonna set it back to like an empty array. So that's what the handle input is doing. And then we have an char here in this thing, and then the title, and these two are actually coming from our index.css, because that's something that we have in a lot of places. And then we have here, so we're gonna be having some links. So if the matched links, like length, is greater than 1, we are going to map over it and render React Router DOM links, and they are going to be redirecting to breed and breed ID, like on the homepage earlier. And then if the matched breeds is like lesser than 1, we're going to say no one matched your research. So that's it. And if I actually search here something, as you can see, it grabs all the breeds that contains the S. And if I say like something like this, there is nothing. If I say American, there is nothing as well. So yeah, actually there is something that I need to change here. So I'm gonna go call actually to lowercase here, so that we don't here as well, because when I typed American without like with a small a, it wasn't matching it earlier. So something went wrong. Yeah, sorry, it should be, I'm gonna call it here. Sorry, to lowercase, I think it's like this. Yeah, so now if I type American like this, it matches. So when we click, it's gonna redirect us to the home detail like we did earlier. And here, so after the title, so I just explained the HTML structure, and as for the style, we're saying that our search box is going to be having a display of position of fixed, some z index. We're going to setting the top to 0, left to 0. We're giving it like a width and height of 100%. We're setting a display flex direction, justify content of center, and we are setting a background color of gray. As of now, you're not seeing it. The background gray, actually, this part is actually the parent, so which has all of these properties. And then the color, the font, and the content, like the box that you are seeing here, he has the brown, which is our primary column, and some padding, some margin bottom, and yeah, and then all the links that are going to be within our search, they're going to have a display of flex as well, and a flex direction of column. Our button, the button that's here, we have set it as the absolute position. Like earlier here, we set it's relative. That's to help us to position the button in the parent, which is the content. So we are setting absolutely in the parent, top like 1 rem, right 2 rem. We're setting a background color, some border, some outline, some padding, some border radius, and then the cursor. Then the input is gonna have some padding, a border radius to have this pill shape. Actually, this pill shape is obtained every time you have a border radius that's greater than the height. So this is why you have this very big number. Then we are adding some border, removing the outline, the color to the primary, as you can see, a width in a margin. And then these links, these React router links, are gonna be actually a tags after all. So we are grabbing them and we are adding some border radius, some padding, and some margin. The HR, we are changing the border color, so we have something that's white, the H1, and then we have our media query. As you can see, when we hit like this number in terms of screen size, we're gonna say align content center, and then we are changing the border radius, the width, and the height of our content. So if we didn't do that, let's say we didn't do that, this is still going to be taking all the width and height. So this way we say it's going to be small, and this align items, make sure that it's going to be like in the center here. So yeah, that's it for the search box, and it's working. As you can see, if I click, yeah, it redirects us to the detail page that isn't implemented so far. So let me remove it, and let me come back to the hero, and it's gonna be a false by default like this. So now if I click, it opens it. Also here, it opens it. So that's it for the hero component. Let's implement our block, which is this section at the bottom here. So I'm gonna create a component, and I'm gonna call it let's say, yeah, it should be a folder. I'm gonna call it a block like this, and we're gonna call it block.js, and also create it with style. Like so. And this, we're gonna be rendering it here, like below our hero component. We could have actually created pages and render pages here instead of components, but I didn't want to like make the code structure quite complex for this small project. So let's say it's going to be, we're just going to be rendering the two components side by side, like one on top of the other. So we're going to render our block like this, like so. And if I come back here, so let me come back to the right. Yeah, as you can see, it's appearing here, and we're going to add a class of block like so. And our block component is actually going to be a static component. So we're going to have a left div and then a right div. In the left div, we're going to have an HR like we did earlier, because we're going to be having a heading here. We're going to have a h1. Let's say, why should you have a cat, like this. And we're going to have a p tag. Let me actually just paste the text here, like so. So it's appearing right below. And in the right section, we're going to be having the three images that are here, these three images. So let me actually simply paste them, and let me also grab these images from the asset folder. So we are grabbing the three images that are these here and rendering them each in a div that has the image class that we already used before. So as you can see, the three are next to each other, and because we have this image and there is a style coming from our index.css, we are having this round shape images already, but they do not respect the final output as we wish. So let us style all of this. So we're gonna come here and grab the block. First thing first, we're gonna add some margin top, let's say of 2 rem, because we don't want it to be like touching the hero section. Then we're gonna grab the h1, change its font size to something like 2 rem, because we want it to be a little bit bigger. The p tag is going to have a margin bottom of 2 rem, like this. Our right section, the thing that contain the text, is going to have a display of grid and a gap of, let's say, 1fr. The right section is where we have actually the images. So one rem, and we are going to create 3 columns. The first one is gonna take 1fr, the second also 1fr, and the third is gonna be slightly bigger. So we're gonna have 1.5 fr like this. And as you can see, these two are smaller and this one is slightly bigger. Also, we're gonna create 3 rows. So grid template rows, and we're gonna create 2. Sorry, we're gonna create 2 of them, and then we're also gonna be having some margin. Let's add actually some margin bottom here of 2 rem, because we want it to be. Let's see the final output. So yeah, like so, like this. And then we're going to say that the image, like the first image, the integer child, the first one, is we wanted to take like grid columns. We wanted to take 2 and this man on 1, like this. So we are saying that the child, the first image, it should like position itself on the column number 2 and takes one like one section, like among the trees that we have here. Then we're gonna grab the integer child number 2 like this and say we're gonna set like its row, and we're going to say it's gonna take one row, like it's gonna start from row 1 and it's also gonna span on one row like this. And we're also gonna be changing its column, and we're going to say that it should start at column number 1 and it should take 2 columns like this. So as you can see, then we're going to grab the image child number 3 here, and this time we're gonna say that it's gonna have a grid row. So it's gonna start from like the row number 1 and it should go all the way to the end. So we can use this this way of doing, like instead of writing a span of 2. So as you can see, then we are going to say that its grid column should take one span starting from the first. Sorry, it should take the column 3 until the end, like so. And we're gonna set its height to 80%. So as you can see, if I look back to the final design, so as you can see, they are similar, but here they are less rounded. So let's actually here say that all the images are going to have a border radius of 24 pixels. So yeah, so they are more rounded like here. So as you can see now, if I change the tab, they are pixel perfect, like they are exactly the same. So same that we are not even noticing like the tab change here. So our block section is also good, and then we are actually gonna have some media query then here. So it's gonna be all in min width of pixel like this. We are gonna say that our parent, like the block, is going to have a display of grid, and it's going to have 2 columns, but the second one should be slightly bigger than the first, like this. So if I make it bigger, as you can see, they are going next to each other. We also want to align them like so and add some gap between the two. Say it's gonna be 2M like this. So if I come here, so they are looking similar, but I feel like there is some more gap here. So let us add some, let's say for 4M. Yeah, now they are the same actually. So yeah, we are so close as of now. We just need to implement the like details page, and then we are gonna handle the deployment phase. So for the details page, we are also gonna have a component. Let me actually close everything and then open the this one. We're going to create a folder called details, like this. Like so, and here in the app it should render the details component, so it should be details like this. And this details component, it's gonna actually we're gonna give it all the breeds here, like so. Like this. So we have all the breeds. Actually, there is one thing that we didn't do that I was about to forget, is that when we like refresh, we have a loader even if we come here. In that we don't have it. So as you can see, we don't have it. So let us actually implement the loader component, and it's gonna be in the component folder. So the loader component is actually going to be quite straightforward. Let me just paste it here. So it's simply going to have a div of this class of loader, and then we're going to have an inner that contains our logo. I'm going to save it. And also in terms of styles, it's also going to be quite simple. So we're going to have a position of fix, top 0, left 0, width and height, background color, a display, so we center our logo, and then our inner, it will have a margin bottom of 7 rem. Like instead of being here, like in the middle screen, I want it to be slightly at the top. So this is why this margin bottom. So let me save it. And this loader is actually going to be displayed on different places. So first thing first, we're gonna go to the app component here, and so here in the main here, so below the header here, we're gonna be rendering it actually dynamically, our main. So let's say our routes actually be rendering it dynamically. So we're gonna say that we're gonna say sorry, it should be not here but here. So here we're gonna say if our summary breeds has a length of just like less than 0, we're gonna render our loader like this, and otherwise it should be like so. So now if I come back here, it's showing the loader. But there is one thing that we didn't do here, is that we are not actually using the error message, so we should handle this one as well. So if here, if there is not an error, we want to check this. If there is an error, we do not want to show this case, but we're gonna go right into this, and here we're gonna say that if there is an API error, we are going to render an error component that we're gonna implement as well. Otherwise, we're gonna render our routes like this. And this error component, let me create it. We're gonna call it, so in the components folder, this will be error. Like this, and let us come back to our app and import it. So like so. There's something wrong, so it should be like this instead. So yeah, our in our error component, what it contains is also quite straightforward. So it's actually gonna receive the error message here. The error, like so. And let me actually just paste its content, as it's quite straightforward. So we are importing actually two SVG, an image and an SVG that we use on the error page. So if the error that we are receiving, it's a 404, we will render this section. And what this section says is that it says got lost finding your cat, and some message is saying that the cat you're looking for does not exist or removed temporarily, and we have a back to home link, and then an image that's going to be sitting at the right side. I'm going to show it in a bit. And if it is not a 404, it means that something went wrong that we don't know. In that case, we're going to just say that sorry, we couldn't offer you a better service, and we're going to show the error message here. And we have also the image at the right. And then we're going to come back here and add the styles. So just to show you how it is done, I'm going to say that the API error is going to be true. Let's say something like something. Okay, so this way it's showing the error here. So this is our error message. So if it is a 404, it isn't changing. Let me check. Yeah, actually, because we are not passing the error message here, we should pass the error like this. Yeah, it's called API error, like this. So yeah, now it's, when it's a 404, like we have a more like friendly message that asks us to go back to the home page. And just let me remove it for now. It's gonna be a null like this. So yeah, and also before implementing the details page, there is one other thing that we are missing, which is our 404 page. So let us implement that before going back. And actually our 404 page is simply gonna be the error component as well. So like this, and we will be passing an error of 404. So we would be returning a 404 whether it's because the cat isn't there on the API side, or because we're trying to go on a page that doesn't exist. These two are actually the same thing. So now if I try to go on a page that doesn't exist, so like we would get our 404 page. So that's looking good. So let us complete the details page now. So our details page is actually gonna also be quite straightforward in terms of code like JavaScript. So let me paste it as well and explain what's happening. Paste it, so here, and I'm going to, there are some imports, so we need we're gonna be getting this from the breeds. Import this state, import this effect. We also need the error message. We also need our loader like this. So can come back here to the details page and explain what we have here. So when the page load, we're calling these params from React Router DOM to grab the things that's here, the ID. So, and then we're checking within our all breeds to find the cat that has the ID that we have grabbed here. So after that, we would want to create an image array to have the 4 images that are below here, and then also some error, because we will be making an API call. Remember our second API endpoint. So we're creating in our use effect a fetcher that's going to call the cat API with the ID, and if the response is okay, we're setting the images. Remember, we were returning an array that contains URL of images, and if it's not the case, we will be setting the message, and if there was a network error, we're gonna set this error message. And then here we are adding it because we want our use effect to change every time this the ID of the page changes. And then we have this thing that's called display graphic. What this thing is doing, this function is doing, is actually, let me come back here and show you. So we have these things, like we have 4 of these, like 5 of these, 1 2 3 4 5, and then some of them are gray and not, and that's actually a way to say, for example, the social needs of the cat, whether it's like out of 5. So that's how we are doing. And what this function is doing is just creating an array that contains 5 elements, looping over it, and then for each item we are saying if the item is lesser than the number that we are getting from the API. So we're gonna get a number out of 5. Like for adaptability here, we're gonna get 5. So we're gonna pass 5 to this function. And every time the number that we are watching is lesser than or equal to the number that we have given by the API, we're gonna return a span that has a class name of plain. Otherwise, we're gonna return a span that doesn't have this class. And as you can see, the span doesn't contain anything. These are actually CSS styles, and I'm gonna show them to you in a bit. So that's the display graphic. And then here, what are we doing? We are saying if there is an API error, so show the error. This API error is because maybe we have tried to go to grab a cat that does not exist. So let's say if it's like I have added 2s like this, so we would get an API error, and that's what we are showing here. So otherwise, we're going to return a div that contains the class of breed. Let me actually call it details as well to respect what I said earlier, like so. So let me come back here. Yeah, I was here. So what are we doing? We're saying that if the images array is not set, if it's still null, it means that our fetch here like hasn't had complete. So in that case, we're returning our loader, and otherwise we are simply having a div that contains a left, and which is going to contain an image. This is going to be like the top element that's here. So this thing, on bigger screen is going to be on the left. That's why I've added a left image, so like this. And then the right side, we're gonna have our title, which is this thing, then the description, which is this, and then we'll be having a bunch of divs. Each of them is gonna contain a string for the character that we are looking for, and then we would add the character that's coming from the breed, because remember this breed we have like grabbed it here from the all breeds component. So yeah, this is for temperament, this is for origin, and for lifespan. For lifespan, it's actually yeah, it's for origin. In lifespan, we don't have the same layout as the others. Also for the temperament, so we are adding also the years here, like so. And then here below, we for the others, we'd be using our display graphic, the function that I have showed you earlier. So we use a strong like tag like this, and then we'd call our function, giving it the adaptability that we have received from the API. Same for the affection level, same for child friendly, same for grooming, for intelligence, for health issues, for social needs, and all. And then at the bottom we'd have these others photo h1, and then a content div that will map over our images and render them. This actually, so yeah, it's gonna be one image each time. So let's come back, and as you can see right now, it's not looking like on the final design because we don't have any style yet. Let me actually add the style and also walk you through. So it's going to be details like this, and save it. As you can see, it has changed. That's why I was saying that these actually just styles. So earlier it was like this. As you can see, we are seeing nothing because this span doesn't contain anything. So let me add it back like this. So what are we saying is that our details page is going to have a font size that's going to be slightly smaller. The h1, we are setting the font height, the width, the margin, the size and the margin. Then all the strong tags that we have here, they are going to have a font weight of 700. So this is why we are having this. And then we're saying that all the divs that are nested in the right component, like direct div, which are these divs. This is our right, and we have direct divs that are here. So we're saying that all these direct divs are going to have a margin so that they don't touch each other. And then this is the best part, the span. We're saying that they are going to have an inline block because we want them next to each other but also have block properties. And then we're saying that they're going to be having a background of gray, which is this thing, a width, a height, a border radius, and a margin right. So we separate them one from another. And then when a span contains the plain class, it's going to have the primary color. So if we come back to our display graphic logic, as you can see, as long as the number that we have received from API is greater than one of these elements, we're going to add the plain. So if we have received 4, 1 is going to be plain, 2 is going to be plain, 3 is going to be plain, 4 is going to be plain, and not 5. So that's what is happening here. Let's come back. And then the bottom is simply going to be a display grid, a gap. So this is going to be for mobile view. And when we go to bigger screens, we're going to saying that our bottom is actually going to have a display grid, like the content. Actually this is not needed anymore. So the content is going to have a display grid, a align items, and then we're going to have as much as 250 pixels as possible. So this is what's happening here. So as well as there is room, it's gonna go next to each other, and then if there isn't any room, it's going to go like one on top of the other. And then when we go to very bigger screens, we're saying that, so when you go to very bigger screens, we're going to be changing all the details, and we're going to have two columns. So the first one is going to be auto, like fitting the image size, and the other one is going to taking all the available, some gap like this. And let me actually add some margin bottom of, let's say, a 2 rem, so we separate them from the footer. And then we're saying that our left is gonna also have some height and some width and some margin bottom, some margin top, sorry. So also adding some, so actually this should be, sorry, this should be like this instead of that. This is what I was targeting. So when we go to bigger screens, we want like the symbols to go like next to their description, like this. So yeah, like so, as you can see. So that's what we are doing here, that we don't need it anymore. Yeah, actually we do need it, sorry. So we are actually adding a display grid on all the details page. We're going to be having two columns, like but for the bottom we want him to take all the like all the two columns. We could have written something like span 2, like so, and it's also going to be working. So yeah, that's it for our details page. Let me refresh it. It's working. Come back, search. It's working as well. So the next thing, we're gonna handle the deployment part. So it's our last section of the video. So before handling the deployment, I've actually noticed one problem here. So here, this should be a p tag instead of a div. So yeah, we're gonna use a p tag like this. So for the deployment, we're gonna be using render.com, which provide for a free service, and they are actually a cloud hosting platform. I think they are built on top of Amazon Web Services, or I'm not sure. And what actually they give you a free tier, which is what I am using here. This works so fine, and you don't have to pay anything. But the problem is that every time more than 3 minutes passes without someone requesting your website, they are gonna shut down your website, and they are gonna spin it up when there is a new request. And this spinning part, like this setting up part, is gonna take sometimes often like something like 30 seconds. So it's not ideal for a production application, like a real application where you would have clients. But for a project that you are building for learning purpose, it works fine. So that's what we will be using. We'll be using render, and you should like go to the dashboard and create an account if you don't have already. I already have an account, so this is why I'm signed in. Let me show you. I would suggest you use the GitHub. It's simpler later. So I use my GitHub account, and it's gonna log in because I'm already logged into GitHub. And then we're gonna go here on our GitHub and create a repository. I already have mine, but I'm gonna create a new one just to show you guys. So I'm gonna say Cat Wiki 2, and you can have it as public or private. I guess both works. Let me try with private. So I'm gonna create it like this. Copy the link in here. Sorry. So here in our project, we are going to instantiate a git init like this. and there are some changes that I need to bring to our git ignore here. So we're gonna say that it should ignore all the node modules, not just the one that are in the root folder. So we have a node modules in the root folder for our backend and one in the client for our React project. So this way we're making sure that it doesn't include all the node modules. Even here it should be the same. Also the build, the coverage, and also I have added this .env because we don't want our .env file which contains our API key to be on GitHub. As I have showed you earlier, the final project is a public repository on my GitHub, and I don't want my API key to be accessible to everyone. So I've created a .env.example here to guide people so that they grab their own API key. The same for the client. I've added this one. So this is why we are saying that don't push this one. And then we're gonna say git add, and we're gonna commit. For now we can call it something like just first commit. Let's say we're gonna say deployment. So we're gonna push it. Sorry, it should be ori. Yeah, I didn't add the origin, so let me actually come back here, go to the repository that I've created and add the remote like so, and then push it. So now we have a git repository here, so it's populated. So now let's come back to our render, and we're gonna say we are going to actually create a new service. So we're gonna say new, and we're gonna use a web service like this, and we should grab like the actually let me how did I call it? Let me just remember. So it's Cat Wiki 2. Let me come back. Sorry. Let's come back here. So yeah, actually this project I didn't give the right to render to have access to this project. So I need to configure. So let me click on this, and then let me grab my phone for the authentication code. So it should be so now here I'm gonna say that you should have access to the repository that I just created, and then hit save. Then we're gonna get redirected back. So here it's appearing, so we're gonna click this one and we're gonna say connect. So it has it detected that it was a node, so that's good for us. The branch is gonna be our main. So actually by doing this, every time we do a push to our GitHub, it's gonna deploy it again. So it's like having a CI/CD that we hadn't had to code it. So I'm actually gonna open a new one here, and then I'm gonna get inspired by my previous deployment. So here what we are saying that our build command, I'm actually gonna use this one. So let's come back. Yeah, our build command is gonna be this, and I'm gonna explain what is it. So our build command is going to be this. What are we saying? We're saying that when you are about to build our project, go to the client, then run npm install, then run npm run build to build the project, and then come back to the root and then run npm install, and then the start command is actually going to be just npm start, or we could leave node, but we can use npm start like this, and we're going to use the free hobby, and we actually here need to add our API key. Remember the API key that we have received by email, so we should have this like this and add our API key. Then we just hit the deploy web services. So I have pasted my API key and I'm gonna hit deploy web services. So it's going to take some time. So it has finished, and as I was saying in the beginning of the video, you can see that the hosting service has given us this port, like, which is quite a very weird port. This is why we used a port that's coming from our env file. So now it also has generated this URL for us. Let me click it, and as you can see, we're getting a cannot get. Why? So our Express JS server is running, but we are getting a cannot get because if you come back here to our server, we only have one route. We only have this one. So if I add actually this thing, we are getting the data. But what we want is that when we come here, we render our like frontend, our React application. How we can do that? So let me actually stop this and show you how we do that. The client, when we run npm run build, that's what I did earlier on render. So when we do a npm run build, it's going to generate this build folder for us, and this build folder contains this static, like we have all the images that our css, our JS that's also minified. We have also have some media, like the images that we have imported. So everything is here. So this is the thing that we should be deploying. On a normal React, if we wanted to host it separately from our backend, we would grab this build folder and we're gonna go add it to some server. It can be Nginx or Apache web server, and let the client access our backend from there. But we want to only have one application that's deployed, our backend. So for this, we're gonna come here and say that our backend should be serving our frontend as static. So in our hosting platform earlier, we did cd client npm I install and then npm build and then come back to our server, then npm install, then npm start. So we would have generated a build folder at this point. We just simply need to tell Express.js how to give back this build. So we're gonna say that everything that's not this route, I want you to so request and response, we're gonna go and we're gonna say actually you should send the HTML that's in our build. And this HTML, actually, if I save it, so this HTML is going to include our JS, which is our React project, and everything is going to be done by JavaScript after that. So we just simply have to return our HTML here. So how we do that? There is the send file method, and we are gonna be, let me actually import the path. So import, we're gonna import path from path, which is a Node.js model to handle a path like this. And then we're gonna say here cons, we're gonna use the dir name is going to be equal to path.resolve like this. actually this is going to give us the path of our current file here, which is our server. So for example, it's like we have added a pwnd, so we're gonna get something like this, and we are saying we're gonna grab this dir name, which is this thing, and say path dot join the dir name with the client build index.html, like this. So what this does is gonna generate something like this. Sorry, I'm gonna copy this thing actually. So it's gonna generate something like this, and then it's gonna add this at the, but it's gonna be dependent on the platform that's running our application. So the handy thing of using this path module is that if our server is on a Windows, or a colleague of us is using a Windows machine, we're not going to be having problems, because you remember on Windows it should be something like this. And also we make sure that this thing that is dependent on my computer doesn't end up on our colleague's laptop or on our production system. So yeah, so we're doing this. And also we need to tell Express to give access to the static files like the images, because by default anything that you try to get that's not defined by a specific route, you're gonna get a 404. So let's say that app.use, we're gonna say that to Express that we would be serving our static files in the client and then in the build. So everything in the client and build is gonna be static. So yeah, that's it. So let me do another commit deployment. Let's say fix. I'm not inspired with the commit messages today, so you're gonna excuse me. So then I'm gonna make a push, and now if I come back to my GitHub, we would have a new commit message. And upon receiving this commit message, our render application, let me come back here actually, let me come back to my dashboard. So it has detected the commit and it's deploying it again. So if I look at it, so it's saying, yeah, I've detected this commit and I am deploying your project. So after some time, the deployment has finished. If I come back to the dashboard, we see that it's deployed. Let me click on it and let me visit the website. So now our backend is serving the client, as you can see. So our website is live now on production. We have built something quite cool, as you can see. So thank you so much for watching this video until the end. And as you can guess, it took me hours and hours to build the project and also to make the video. And the only thing that I expect from you guys is to like it, so that I reach more people, to share the video with your friends who are maybe also interested in these topics, and to subscribe to help me grow my very small channel. Thank you so much, and see you in the next one very soon.